Now, we've talked about Pokemon Go a little bit here, and I just want to I just want to talk to you guys about it. And you might be going, "What the hell are you talking about?" On last week, late last week, in what was a pretty dreadful week for world news, Pokemon Go was released, and it's what they call an augmented reality game. In other words, you have to get off your butt, get out in the street with your smartphone, and you go catch Pokemon. And for those of you who are I actually missed the Pokemon. I was a bit old for Pokemon, but for a lot of people, Pokemon is a huge deal. Okay, even if you're not interested in games, you need to stick with me for a minute because I want to what I'm trying to teach you here is how to identify when there's something big going on and how to capitalize on it. Okay, so my spidey sense went off immediately because I know how cool augmented reality is. And I know that what it's been missing is it needs a brand, right? It needs something that's big. And Pokemon definitely fits that. Even though you may not have heard of it, trust me, for people in that age group, everybody's obsessed with it. So that was interesting, and I thought, oh, that's cool, and I downloaded the app, and I thought that was fun, and sent it off, and always interesting, I sent it off to Hannah and said, hey, Hannah, have you checked this out? Any of your friends doing it? And that was the first thing. All of a sudden, a bunch of Hannah's friends were doing it, all their brothers and so on were doing it. And then I started noticing on Twitter, people of my age were making Pokemon jokes and so on. So I said, hang on, this is getting really interesting. And then on Friday night, we were out. And we were just driving home, and I thought, oh, this is funny. Let's put on Pokemon Go. And all of a sudden, there are literally dozens and dozens of people out in, there's not many people that, go out and wandering the streets near where I live as a general rule. It's not that highly trafficked. But there were there's dozens of people. And in the city, hundreds of people. There are photos in Melbourne of literally hundreds of people because there are these spots that you can go to, Pokestops, where you can get Pokeballs. I know, work with me here. But it's this huge thing. And what was really exciting about this, a couple of things that were exciting. One, it's actually a great game for kids because it actually gets them off their ass and they have to walk. To hatch eggs, you have to actually walk for kilometers, or miles, depending on where you are, right? So you actually have to walk. It's actually a way of tricking your children into exercise. It's amazing, right? It's fascinating. And people of all ages, and you're reading about all of these fantastic stories, and all of a sudden the memes start, and this is going to be a big deal. And I guarantee you, now I mentioned this, you're going to see this everywhere. All of a sudden the mainstream media has gotten hold of this. It is just going to explode. You're going to see a lot about it. So for me, as with my marketer, there's a few things that I'm looking at. For a start, if one of you aren't creating a Madcast on Pokemon Go, you're insane, right? That's just a Monty, because if all of a sudden, if there's hundreds of thousands of people doing this thing, and it's actually millions, get this, it looks as though Pokemon Go, this just came across my feed this morning, on Android is more popular than Twitter. More active users than Twitter, right? And even if this was a fad, okay, Ed, this is the latest Cabbage Patch Dolls, right? This is a fad. Okay, let's say it's even a fad. Even if it's a fad and it drops down to a normal, there's going to be a bunch of people that are still going to be there. And so that's a community. It's a potential new community that did not exist. Well, the Pokemon community actually has existed, and card trading and computer games and all those sorts of things have happened. Nintendo have got an absolute certified hit on their hand because remember I said these Pokestops? Well, there's two reasons they're going to make money here. Reason one, are people like me are going to notice that some punk has taken over my local Poke Gym. This is where you battle your Pokemon that you collect against other people's Pokemons that they collect. I know, bear with me. But there are these gyms, right? And that's where, you literally, if you go out there, particularly, on the weekend, if you see these Poke Gyms, you'll see it because you'll see dozens of people all on their phones around this spot or battling. Right? It's phenomenal. I can't tell you how surprising it is to this. However, here's the thing. if you don't have time to go out and do that, then you can buy your way into success. So that's very clever for Nintendo, right? You can buy a whole bunch of these Pokemon Pokecoins, which then you can buy Poke stuff to get better. You can do that. But there is another huge angle here. Because if I was a business, if I was a coffee shop, I would pay to have a Pokestop or a Poke Gym on my premises, right? Particularly if I was targeting that particular demographic, I would absolutely pay for that, right? Because people are going to buy coffee, they're going to hang around, and there's a thing called lures which you can attach to these things. And somebody did the math on Reddit, and that's another interesting point. Somebody did the math on Reddit, and a business could spend $7 a day to keep a lure there, which means more Pokemon are there, which means more Pokemon players will come there, and they'll hang around and they'll buy stuff, right? They'll buy food and drink and all that sort of stuff. If I had a food cart, a cappuccino cart, I'd sit there and do that. So this is the levels of layers of money. And, it's incredible that there's nothing. It's digital goods. So that is amazing. Nintendo are going to make mark my words, Nintendo are going to make way more from this than anything that they've ever done. And that means that there's an entire community, and when there's an entire community created, mark my words, somebody listening to this will go, you know what, Ed, you're right, and they'll understand this, they'll start a Madcast on this, and it'll be incredibly successful. It'll just happen. Guaranteed. Now, something else that's very important with this, I mentioned Reddit. You talk about ways to understand how things are hot. Reddit, Reddit, is a big part of that. And that is a really important one for the bleeding edge, the super switched on people for any particular market will be on Reddit. That's a subject for another time, I think. But I think we'll do we should do an entire show, or at least a segment on Reddit, because it's an incredible market research thing. So it's great. So that is what it's just a fascinating thing, and it's going to be big. And there is a bunch of info marketers that are going to make a lot of money out of Pokemon Go, because they're going to start a Madcast, Scriptcast, they're going to collect emails, they're going to build funnels, they're going to serve the community, they're going to figure out pains, gains, jobs to be done, and they're going to do well. And this was a market that, as of this time last week, did not exist. Brand new. So it just goes to show, right? These things are happening all the time.